Next, we're on the approval of draft minutes. We have first the approval of draft minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting on December 8th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All.
Aye.
Yeah, I was talking. Is that what I just heard? All opposed, same sign. Did we say that?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next, we are on to two exciting presentations today. So we're going to start with the 4.0 presentations. And turn over to Dr. Chair.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. There are many aspects of my job, but very few that give me as much pleasure and make me proud to be a principal as honoring our top students. So we have a lot of students here at Benjamin that do very well with their grade point averages. But these students tonight earned a 4.0 for the whole first trimester. So can we give them all a big round of applause? So what we're going to do is we're going to call you up by grade, and then we will take a picture of you. So you're going to stay up here. We're going to take a picture of you per grade. Wait, it gets better. It gets better. And then we're going to call you all back up at the end to take one big picture. And at the end, we have cookies for you. I know that you're going to want to take your cookie and water and run, get out of here, but you're more than welcome to stay, but they're there for you as well. So I really appreciate all the hard work that you students did, and we will start with the presentation. Okay. We have Dr. McGill. We'll give you a certificate, and school board president, Mr. Rogers, that will take your hand. So starting off in 5th grade, we have Paige Christensen. And we have Eliana Frigo. Congratulations. I should mention also that we have many people that are or that said that they could not make it tonight. So some of our groups will be a little bit smaller than others. So we have many more that will get their certificate tomorrow. Here. Over there.
Okay.
Next up is our 6th grade students. So we'll start off with Sophia Benitez. Amelia Dameron. Landon Dorico. Andrew Glass. Max Obrakta. Braden Peterson. Valentina Santelli. Bryson Sarkady. And Tessa Tripoli. I don't know if I saw her come in. Tessa. And Vincent Vanderwall. I should have mentioned this after the 5th, and I will now at the 6th. Is there anyone that didn't RSVP that happened to be sitting in crowd in 5th or 6th grade that got recognition for 4.0? Okay. Big round of applause.
There you go. Actually, right there, or right there, perfect, great.
And to make sure you find the way there. Fine.
Next up for seventh grade, we're starting with Sophia Christensen. Yeah, Joey Delort. We have Lila Hodder. We have Elias Morlock. We have Brianne Phillips. And we have Caleb Urbina.
Move over this way. And move over here. There you can see. Great job.
Find it. There you go. Okay.
And finally, for our eighth grade recognition, 4.0, we'll start off with Lucas Frigo. Vivian Higgins. Aubrey Holden. Callie Nitz. And Danielle Valenzuela.
On.
This
Awesome.
You get everybody back up here for a big group picture.
Look forward there, we got.
Parents are gonna frame it, it's gonna be on the wall.
And parents would feel free to take pictures as well, if you want to get a good shot. No, there's no rules here. You just cannot-
Right, move down.
Move around, just do that. Yeah, come back.
Here. Come over here. Actually, no, I can see. Alright. If you can't see me, I do not in the picture. Get down just a little bit.
Took your toes for everybody.
Max, if you go first. 1, 2, 3. All right.
You wait, you're gonna get out of the way.
Now.
All right, congratulations, everyone. Good job. 4.0 kiddos get first dibs on cookies. So
Hold on
you're
one
right here.
second.
You're right here for live for the cookies. And enjoy the rest of your night. So for parents, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the board meetings, but if you're looking for like, when's that time to leave without being awkward, definitely get their coaches first now, or you can stay. Either way is good. Either way.
Hold on, one more second, guys, everybody, hold on. Yes, I'm gonna do it, sorry, Reagan. I didn't ask after the seventh, eighth year, so we do have one more recognition for Reagan Shimmick.
Yeah, we need a picture.
All their eighth graders, come back up. You see eighth graders, come back up. Eighth graders, come back up. Come back up.
Alright, okay, so how are your cookies with Aaron?
The cookie.
I mean, you've seen that where, you're like, it's the all stars. That was something we had to go around. Congratulations. I think you're all ready, right? Right.
Hi.
Julie. We are like, wait.
Well, you did again.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right.
My brother. Yeah, or just like.
Thank you.
You watch it,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
No, it is one of the transparency, I like to. It's my brain, it used to be on TV. That's all.
Job, Brayden.
All right, before we go to yours, I missed one quick one here. So I missed one approval of the draft minutes from the finance committee meeting of January 8th, 2026. So may I have a motion to approve the finance committee meeting minutes of January 8th, 2026? So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now handing it over for a student services presentation, who unfortunately lost their tomorrow.
You are
We're excited.
All right, so I'm Liz Salmoni and I am going to present today on our Student Services Department. Just wanted to kind of highlight to start with what student services, like what departments and programs fall under student services. The special education, 504 plan, multilingual learning, early childhood, McKinney-Vento, youth and care, attendance, behavior, and then MTSS tiers 2 and 3. So there's quite a few, so a wide range of parts of our district that fall under the student services department. So the first. So sorry, it wasn't working at first. So the first area I'm gonna talk about is special education and 504 plan data. For some of you who are at our strategic plan, some of this will be you'll get to hear it a second time, which means that maybe it'll be, you'll be able to digest it a little bit more as well. So and this is our historical December 1st data. So the state every December 1st requires us to submit very specific data for special education students. And so that's why I'm going off of this data, because this is the data that the state gives us all of our funding with that. And so, and the other thing that, what we're looking for here is the state wants about 10 to 12% of your overall population. 10 to 12% of that should fall within that area of qualifying for special education services. So if you look at our historical data, you will see that, we have, back, at the very beginning of this, there were a couple percentage points, like 1 percentage point. Cause you're like 12, 13, almost 14%, but if you do notice, last year we were at 19% of our students qualified for special education services. We did drop this year, we're at 16%, but, realistically, we are looking for 10 to 12% in that area.
So each line's up years.
And I did have my years on there, so 20, so let me just like, so this would be FY 26, because we had to do our data points already, so 25, 24, yeah. So sorry, the years were on there.
And Julie, can I ask one quick question?
Yes,
And this is students that are placed in-house with IEPs and outplaced, or?
Yes, all I.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the state does not delineate, so regardless of where a student is receiving their services, they are still all ours.
Okay, thank you.
So the state wants to kind of recommend that 10 to 12. Are other districts in our area similar to us or?
So, so I will say, since COVID, over identification has been a problem. But I will say that I am actually surprised looking at our numbers that we've never had a finding, because when I talk to other districts, they're like, I get to 13% and they're yelling at me. And we've always been at 13% since I went back in the data. And forward, we've always been at 13% or higher, so I'm actually surprised, we have never had a finding in this. But that doesn't mean it won't happen, and yes, the increase in special ed since COVID, but it's. All the districts are trying to come down. So this one's, let's give it a second, it's like.
It's gonna be a lag depending on which one's the primary.
Okay,
Well, I'll ask the question.
sure, no, you
Can
can,
you do? Okay, that's,
yeah.
what does a finding like result in? What's the?
So the state will ask you to put a plan in, like I have to fill out the form and everything, they'll make you put a plan in. And if you get the finding 3 years in a row, cause this did happen for us, like my second year here with DLM findings. Then they start sending these really aggressive emails, most to the superintendent, and then it gets forwarded to me. You have to put them up in the meetings and stuff. The DLM, I got a little aggressive back in the sense that most of our numbers were students who had moved into our district. I can't change, especially when they're medically fragile and stuff. I mean, those all legitimately qualified. So they did end up letting us off the hook on that one. But what will happen is if we don't, within 3 years fix it, they will start, and if we don't show up to a meeting, cause they said we weren't at one, which we were, but they missed us in the chat or something, but then they sent a really aggressive email. Kind of like your staff didn't show up, and then I responded back, well, yes, we did. We were there, we asked the question, you answered it, kind of a thing, and then they kind of backed off on that one. But they will make you do all this.
Other than sending a nasty email, you have a consequence.
If they really find you in default to that, they'll show up here.
And then.
And then they can't, I mean, the most.
That's the ultimate recourse, because if you've got that number of kids,
Well, and
I would be like.
yeah. Well, okay, so there's two pieces of that, cause I feel like there's some things that we can do to continue to lower our numbers, so I don't necessarily agree that that is a true reflection of who should have special education services, but second of all, in the most extreme case, they will come in here and start kind of taking over my job. In a very extreme case, I don't know when the last time that's ever happened.
Because we have
quite
been a
honest.
destination district for some time for with
Yeah.
parents in that scenario, so that's something that's beyond your control, and if.
Some of it is.
Right, so if they move in and it just pushes your numbers that way, there's not much.
Right, and in that particular case, you're absolutely right, there's nothing you can do, and sometimes the state will take that, like with the DLM thing, they back off on that, and then they let us out of those requirements. It's different if you don't have the data or whatever to support that piece of it, when there's other pieces that impact it.
What are they saying the negative consequences are? If your numbers are, if they are skewed a little bit towards that, what is?
Well, so special education is one, it's a reactive service. And second of all, when we actually go through a special education, like the process, and we're talking about the services and placement, there are harmful effects that we have to identify for a student being removed from the general education classroom. So any removal of a student from their general education peers, the general education instructional tools, and that general education instruction is a harmful effect in the educational setting. So as more students are qualifying and more students are being removed from that environment, you are negatively impacting because they're losing time with peers, they're losing that general education instruction. Now, sometimes there's really good reasons, like we do have students who do miss all of that because they're getting specialized instruction for those core subjects. But when you have students, you know, who maybe MTSS would have been a better approach, or maybe, and this slide will actually talk a little bit more about the other pieces, where really they should have qualified for more ML services, which we try to do more push in as opposed to pull out, as opposed to special education services. That can be harmful because there's a huge difference between a language difference and a language disorder. There's a huge difference between acquiring a second language and having a special education disability. So those are the harmful effects, is labeling a child with a disability who really doesn't have. And down the road, that can impact classes that they're eligible for. And in some extreme cases, it can, you know, alter where their projection is after high school graduation. So we just want to make sure that we're not doing any of those things without the appropriate data in place and supports. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at this slide, I think this a while ago. So when you have second language learners who also qualify for special education services, your percentage of overall, our population is 600. I'm making this really simple. We have 10 second language learners. We should have that same amount of that 10, that same percentage that qualified for special education services. So here in 2020, we had 47 second language learners. 19 of them qualified for special education services. So that was 19 of the 47. So that meant that 21% of our second language learners were also special education, which these two numbers of our total population, only 7.4% were second language learners. And of that 7.4%, we said almost 22% also were special ed. These two numbers should be within 3% ones, given plus or minus. You fast forward over here to 2026 currently, now the waste, you can see that. We now have 108 second language learners, and we have the same amount that qualify 19. So we are actually within 2% of our overall population. So what that meant was, at the core of it, we were over identifying our second language learners as also being special education. That has been fixed. And so we do no longer over identify our second language learners. We are identifying them appropriately and making sure it's a true special education need and not just because they don't speak English. And that what that shows is how we do that is by making sure they have the same deficits in their native language. If they don't have the deficits in their native language, it's a second language acquisition. It's not a special. So this is, I'm gonna just run through this a little bit. This is our findings from the state. So you actually look at our findings from the state, our findings from the state are really good. We have scored over, we will not have they're always a year behind. And so FY 25 I won't have till the spring, so I can always add on to this, but this is the most up to date I could get. So a 3 means is the best score you can get. So as I run through these slides, I'm not gonna spend time on all of them, but these are the indicators that they're looking at. And if you look at our indicators all the way to the end, it's gonna take a minute for it to get there. And I know you guys have copies of this, but we have 3 in all of our areas, so we are not, we meet requirements, and so the state does not feel that we at this time need any intervention. So as I said, there are things that we do have to work on, but in our indicators, we've met, and this is important because I get this letter and so does our special education co-op every year. And it gets forwarded to me. If you don't meet, that's when they start making you do those plans and give you 3 years. And so I've been able to get, we had some findings in the beginning, but we've been good. All right. So then the next is gonna be our 504 plan data. When it rolls up, and this is just kind of a global data over the last, after the last 4 years. I just went off of our December 1 count for this as well, once it turns over. I can just say 504 plans have been pretty steady. We do tend to have more at the middle school, which is kind of what we would expect, because as students are not qualifying for special education services anymore, exiting, then at that point, a lot of them will move over to a 504 plan if they still require accommodations but don't need any direct services. So we do have that. The other pieces, there are some things that automatically qualify you for 504 plan. Medical things like asthma and diabetes are automatic 504 plans if a parent presents that to us. So some of these are gonna be medical 504 plans, it's not just academic. Great, I'm gonna move into early childhood.
So if you
Yes.
it's a PDF view, maybe if you roll the trackball, it might.
If it'll go faster, okay, I'm gonna try that. So here, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that went backwards. Let me try. Yep. Thank you. Fabulous. So next is early childhood. So the purpose of early childhood is truly to provide a general education environment for students who require special education services. So just like kindergarten up, we have to provide special education services to students who are 3, turning 3 on. And so in order to provide them with the least restrictive environment possible, we do also need to have a blended early childhood. And so that is truly like the underlying purpose of early childhood classrooms. Our current classrooms have 5 students who would qualify, this is our makeup, qualify for special education services, not speech only in any classroom. If all you have on your IEP is speech and you're speech only, you fall into that general education category. If you are speech, but you can, I try to keep it black and white because you can't get all crazy with the speech onlys. But there are specific situations where they would not be considered that, but we don't currently have any of those situations. And then 11 students who have met our at-risk criteria. We have revisited our at-risk criteria quite a few times since I've been here, even this year. I'm really trying to hone in on trying to make it fit what we feel is the student population we're really trying to get in early. What we do is we conduct about 7 screenings a year using the speed dial. And it looks at pre-academic speech, motor development, and then we take parent questionnaire, parent information as part of that. If they indicate they are a second language learner, we are also required to give them the pre-IPT, which is the state language assessment that we have to do in early childhood. If a student comes through early intervention, meaning they already have special education services before they're 3, we don't do that. We'll go straight to a play-based evaluation when they sign consent for the evaluation. There's a whole process I do with early intervention before they show up for that play-based. And and for both of these things, the state has requirements, so these are tools that the state has approved that we have chosen to use. And if we have a student who comes through our screening and we have continued concerns, then sometimes we will recommend the play dates as well to get further information. So we'll sign them up for our next play dates and complete that evaluation. It's an hour, all the team members that are required will do that, and then we follow up with the IT meeting after that with the results. So currently, we have completed 16 child finds. We've had a lot of no-shows. And we have one this week, and I've already had 2 parents cancel. I'm starting to schedule more kids because of the no-shows and the cancellations. 4 have met our program criteria, 1 was rescheduled. We do have 11 students coming to us from early intervention currently. We've only had 2 of those play days, but starting this week, the end of the year is when we're getting all the rest of the 9 in. You have to do that in enough time that by the time we hold the meeting, the parents have enough time to enroll their children if they qualify by the time they're free. Okay, that is one we have gotten in trouble for going over that early intervention transition timeline. We have, and then these are our current numbers. Mrs. Quigley has 6 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. Mrs. Zapata has 4 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon.
Julie, what is the max that those classrooms can have?
16.
Okay.
We do go to 16. The mornings are a little bit light right now. One, we have all of our EI kids are coming in the second half of the school year. Last year, our morning class was full. We had a waiting list. So that just ebbs and flows as well. It just depends. And we've had some parents who qualified. One parent couldn't because we don't offer transportation if it's not special education and they need it. Which we don't offer, so.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. All right, the next thing I'm gonna talk about is our multilingual department. So this is our current multilingual data. We have currently 108 students, actually it's 109, we did have another one start after the first of the year. A newcomer from Vietnam, they just started in our school. At Evergreen, and we do have, if you see, there has been a decline from last year. Last year we had a high number of students, 143. We're at 109 now. Actually, I'm sorry, it's 110 because we did have another one at the middle school as well. Sorry, but one of the things with our drop-in numbers is some of it is kids exiting. So when I go to my next slide, we'll see that we had a lot of kids exit out of access. 2, we had actually a lot of students who left our early childhood program who qualified for second language services in early childhood. And when they graduated from EC and got retrained for kindergarten, half the kids didn't qualify for second language services. So that says a lot about the early childhood program and how great it has been for their acquiring English. But this is really an ebb and flow number. I mean, we could get a whole group of kids move in at a time. All right, so we have 20 different languages spoken by our second language family community of students who qualify. But we actually have 33 different languages spoken in our community. 13 of those languages are not represented in our current ML students, 20 are, but we do have 33 different languages spoken, and some of them are languages I've never heard of before, so it was interesting when I had collected that data, looking at some of the different languages. Some of them are not written, so that also is, unique as well. Yeah, which is why that whole ML special education thing is so important, because some of them do come from illiterate families, and so we really do need to make sure that their exposure to the language, their native language is very different sometimes than our exposure to our native language. Okay, I skipped. Oh, access graduation, sorry, Oh, I didn't, I'm sorry, I was also supposed to highlight on here that we had 16 kids exit access last year, that was really good, that was a really high number, we've had, I mean, our exiting numbers. Have really been great, double digits, the 16 is the highest that I've seen going in the. Back, this summer they're re-norming it, so I don't know. The last time they re-normed it, I was told that they lowered the exiting number, if that happens again, going into next school year, we might see another really huge amount of students. I mean, we have so many that are right there. Alright, so then, next I'm gonna talk about MTSS, tiered systems of support. So this is the multi-tiered systems of support, it's kind of, if you heard the old, acronym RTI. Similar, but this looks at the whole child, like social, emotional, not just academics. So the multi-tiered systems of support, and I'm just gonna kind of highlight this a little bit, so. This is kind of where that special education piece comes in as well. 80 to 90% of all students in a school district should be successful with tier 1 support, whether that's academic or behavioral. Some students, 5 to maybe 10%, may require supplemental targeted intervention within the classroom by their teachers, so small group, different skill level groups, things like that, both academic or behavioral, or they might need a different behavior system than the whole class requires. 1 to 8% of students require that intensive intervention. Once you're getting to tier 3, that's when we're getting to the point where a student really is getting pulled by a reading specialist, someone to give them that really intensive instruction. If this process works well, you are only getting 1 to 8% of your students here. And of those 1 to 8% of the students, maybe 5% will be moving on to that special education evaluation, because even that intensity, either the intensity is going to be required for a very long time that is not sustainable through MTSS, or that intensity is not enough. We need to look at even adding more. That's when you're moving on to the special education evaluation. But what you want is, by providing this support system, you do want to see students then go back down that pyramid and move back to those tier 1 supports. That is the purpose. So this is like the proactive piece that happens prior to qualifying for special education services. For learning disabilities in most states and 100% in Illinois, this is a legal requirement before you can even get to that evaluation. So we looked at some data from our different schools, and I also want to highlight, sorry, I had it on that page, in working with Mrs. Smith, starting this month, on the 4th Wednesday of the month, we are starting collaborating on starting a MTSS committee over at Evergreen to look at this tier 2 and tier 3. So she's already formed her committee, and I'm going to be part of that committee, helping support the building in setting up the processes for MTSS. And I will also say, though, even prior to setting up the committee, we have had so many discussions about MTSS. Her, Mrs. Carter, Mrs. Agris, we really, had a lot of focus on that over the last couple of years. We have a really nice system in place set up as well, so that's, but I just wanted to point out that we are starting to spearhead that together. So at our middle school, we currently have tier 2 and tier 3 student reading support. And this was information that was obtained for our strategic planning from Mrs. Erickson, the reading specialist over at Benjamin. So she does provide 1-to-1 reading support in 1 to 5 sessions per week based on the needs and schedule. She does do continuous progress monitoring, and those are reviewed at data checkpoints, which I know there are scheduled every 6 weeks at Benjamin, and they meet in all of their teams. I join those here and there. And And then based on that data and that those checkpoints, there are adjustments made to the intervention frequency. Or if dismissal is, you know, so indicated by that data. And then if we look, there are tools here. If we notice, so a lot of the tools focus on reading, like reading fluency, reading comprehension. And she is a reading specialist, so it is not anything, and Mrs. Erson is wonderful, she's so knowledgeable, I respect her knowledge base, a lot. But if we notice, look here, we don't have a ton of, writing interventions or math. Then, so this kind of just talks about how they get into the different tiers and how they get out to. So in both schools, students are identified through their STAR and FastBridge CDM data, as well in comparison to their classroom data. And then based on that information, that's how they're looking at if the student qualifies and then if they're making progress and need more support, or they can start lessening support. So if they're making progress, the STAR and FastBridge CDM is trending toward being above the 31st percentile. They're receiving a ELA grade of A or B. At that point, they are considering to reduce support and maybe dismiss. If they are not making progress, then their CBM and STAR data is either below the 31st percentile, it's stagnant, or it's regressing at that point, and then their ELA grade is C or below. So at that time, that intervention should be modified or intensified. So that's kind of what it looks like in that reading piece, over at Benjamin Mills. At Evergreen Elementary School, they use the same assessment tools to make their decisions, but they kind of have different tiered levels. So if you look here, if you're in the 25th to 30th percentile, you're supported in the classroom by your teacher. Data is collected every other week. If you fall in that 11th to 24th percentile, you would be supported by the classroom teacher, or maybe you do see a reading specialist once or twice a week. And you are having data collected every week. Criteria is reviewed again every 6 weeks to look for those positive data trends. Evergreen also has a 6 weeks data benchmark meeting, just like Benjamin does. If a student is below the 10th percentile, that's when they are in the tier 3. And they would be receiving the reading specialist 5 days a week, and then she would be collecting data. And then again, 6 weeks of positive data trends, and you kind of are moving back down that pyramid. Again, if you are in tier 3 and we are not seeing positive data trends, that's when we do need to look at, do we need to increase intensity? What do we need to add to it? And then if then we start to see that positive trend, is it something a reading specialist can actually maintain? If not, then we're looking at special.
Julie, can I ask a quick question? It was
Please.
probably previous slide, but are we looking into getting tools for math and writing to support our students, or like after strategic planning, or?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I will be honest, Dr. Fitzgerald and I have looked at some it's very hard to find a writing intervention.
Okay.
Like we've met with we had some suggestions, I think it was last year or the year before, we met with one company. It was like they wanted us to get rid of HMH and take their whole,
Yeah.
So like some of it is, we do need to do a little bit, we've talked, there is, so like, I will say at Benjamin, I know they have like the RTI math and stuff. But so some of that might, especially at Benjamin for the math, might not necessarily that we need to find another tool as much as we need to just shore up what that RTI math, like, and how to document
The
that.
RTI math is something where they get pulled from a different class, so it's a second math class. Where they get extra support for that. The other part that you may remember from my IAR report is we're moving a little bit away from that to move into smaller classes supported by 2 different teachers, which we think is more successful. And so we have that going on as well, along with a bunch of different tier 1.
Right.
Electronic supports.
Yeah, and we have done MTSS at the middle school, actually, for 1 or 2 students where one of our case managers has pulled a student and looked at the math curriculum, but just taken it down a couple of grade levels and like provided direct instruction in those skills. So sometimes, it's also looking at how we use even our core tool and how we deliver it. And trying to find better ways for the day to be able to adjust to that. So those are the pieces also that we have to look at. HMH has a lot of resources in it as well. So as teachers get more comfortable with that, there might be other pieces in that as well. But I will tell you, those are the two harder areas to find really good research-based intervention tools. And when you're going through this process, we do have to be scientifically research-based, so it does limit, it can't be teacher materials or anything. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so, I'm almost done. My last one is McKinney-Vento and You Think Here. So You Think Here, just so you know, is the state renamed foster children as You Think Here. So that's what I'm referring to. And the reason I highlight these two programs is because they do directly impact our finances within the school district. So we do currently have 5 families that qualify under the McKinney-Vento Act. We currently provide transportation to 2 of those families. And then we are also providing transportation to 2 additional families that reside in our district, but do not attend in our district. So that is the way McKinney-Vento works. The parents can choose to enroll. So if they leave the district they were enrolled in at the time they became homeless and they move to our district, they don't have to enroll them in our district, but we do have to split costs. For the students that we are providing transportation to the districts where they live in, also split the cost of that transportation as well. And then we currently have 2 You Think Here. All right, so student services future priority. So 1, collaborating with Mrs. Smith to support the multi-tiered systems of support MTSS committee that she is starting this month. Continuing to focus on special education services and the identification process, and then also continuing to grow our early childhood program. I actually am going to Carol Streams Library. They have a preschool fair. I went a couple of years ago and then didn't hear from them. And then they reached out, so I responded back. I mean, it's been a couple of Saturdays, so. So I'm gonna do that. I've done that in the past as well, to try to drum up, some additional members for our program. And that is it. Any additional questions? If you do, just let me know and I will answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salamone.
You're welcome. I don't want me to go. I'm gonna exit out of all of these tabs.
Oh, I'll take care. Oh, thanks.
Okay. Now we're moving on to teaching and learning, so I'll hand it over to you, Dr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for allowing me to give this report on learning and teaching in the district. Just gave some updates as far as professional development, getting ready for the Countywide Institute Day on February 27th. That is an opportunity where our staff can go out and register for outside professional development across the county of DuPage. We also have teachers that will be staying in. There's a form that they need to fill out. I do appreciate Dr. Felix's help in registering all of our outside people that are going outside, and then Mrs. Smith and myself take care of everybody that's staying in-house so we can improve their agendas. So far, I looked on today, we had 28 teachers registered for outside conferences, 16 for in, and they have till January 24th, I think, to fill that out. Because then I need to get paperwork into DuPage ROE as far as us providing professional development hours. So that's to be done about a month ahead of time. So I'm looking forward to that. And they're registered for things such as math, a lot of math, special education, social emotional learning, ELA, and STEM were the topics that I saw for the outside conferences. Assessment, I just have a lot of assessment coming up in the future here. Dr. Salamone just got done talking about the access testing. We have Nicole Johnson, but also Neda Guevara and Michelle Hines at the elementary Evergreen that'll be doing the access testing for our EL students. I have on there that it will take 5 weeks total. Doesn't mean that they're being tested for 5 weeks straight. It means that their schedule getting around to all the students that need to take that testing will happen over about 5 weeks. And then we have the state testing, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness that we will do for the second year in a row before spring break. We are switching it up so that we do the math testing first. Theory, or just the thing is maybe by the time they get done with the ELA testing, they're just tested out at the middle school especially. And so we're just going to switch it up and see what happens. We do have Greg that's coming in to do training with our staff on the IR testing. We will continue to do the Illinois Science Assessment, which is now all brought in with Pearson after spring break. And then just additional testing we also do is COGAT, and that's in 2nd and 5th grade. Testing for the 2nd grade will be the week of March 12th, so before we do the IR, and 5th grade will be once we're done sometime in April. We continue our learning walks, so we were able to see Evergreen special education classrooms, and then our specials in art, music, and STEM over at Benjamin. And then just continuing an update on the high school articulation that will actually start tomorrow. Tomorrow we have our math teachers and STEM, Spanish, and EL teachers all be going over to the high school. I was able to meet with the principal and other middle school teachers again last week on Friday. And actually, it's a much more comprehensive schedule than I initially thought. I thought they'd go to one class, but they have it set up because they're pretty much for half a day. So they go to about 5 different classes and then meet with the department chair. So I'm happy about that. And then on the 20th, we have art and science going. And then on the 27th, we have PE, special ed, ELA, and social studies. So excited to get that going and hopefully keep it up. The new principal has been very easy to work with. Lemaris. Yeah, that's correct. It's one of our former parents. So I know it is Zoe's mom. That's how I remember. So, and that's it. Any questions on that?
Thank you. Dr. Phyllis, turning it over to you for the business and operations report.
Yeah, we had a few reports that came through from Greg and I. The couple I want to highlight just before we open up for questions. This is the business report. I'm happy to report that the school project maintenance grant application that you approved last month was accepted by GISB. So we will receive $50,000 from the state of Illinois to help pay for the projects that we're doing this. Exciting. Thank you to the finance committee for that down. The second was in the legislative update through IASBO. We're going to develop a one pager, they're calling it, to show the effect that our proration of MCATs are having on not only our school district statewide. The focus right now for IASBO is to get our legislators to fully fund the MCATs. So right now they're doing a great job at funding the EBF, but with the proration of the MCATs, which is essentially your transportation, special ed transportation, private facility tuition, they're only reimbursing districts 80% rate. So you're putting the onus on us to deliver it, but they're not paying for it. As a tier 4 district like us, this isn't impacting us as much as it is tier 1 and 2 districts. But the next update from Dr. McGill will give you the first draft of what we're all taking. If there's any questions on any of those reports, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, turn over to you, Dr. McGill.
All right, so first and foremost, another strategic planning update. We had an exciting December. We met for a whole day, the strategic plan team in the small gym right here at Benjamin on December 9th. And the product of that meeting was a SWOT analysis. That's up on our website for everyone to review. It's a draft SWOT analysis. It's quite lengthy, but you'll see it's also very comprehensive. board members, you don't have to do anything with it, but I did make sure that we printed out a copy of it and so you can take it home with you and review it. It's probably a little bit easier than reviewing on your phone, because it's quite lengthy. But it'll give you a good sense of what each of the tables, there's 6 tables, what each of them thought in regards to the district's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then, Perry did a really good job of consolidating that into kind of a one-pager towards the end of this document. And all of this was then sent out to the community, for feedback. And there was an opportunity for people to say that some of these, yeah, that's not really a weakness, or yeah, that's not really a strength. And then there was open-ended question where people were to say, you missed this weakness, or you missed this strength, or you missed this opportunity. So we had a little over 100 responses from that survey, which really happy with that. Really high participation from our faculty and staff as well. We did have 2 students participate, which was also nice. But we have more students than that on the committee who are contributing. We saw some of them tonight getting the 4.0 recognition. So that was really great. All this information, the feedback, everything is going to be sent to the strategic planning committee. That's going to inform finalizing our SWOT analysis at the next meeting, which is fast approaching, January 22nd. That is our vision retreat. We're going to put a pin in our SWOT analysis, and we're going to use that to inform where we want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, identify our core values. We have a mission and vision statement. I think some people didn't know that existed, but we're going to use that as a launch pad for solidifying our core values and our mission and vision, which is then going to inform that, in combination with our SWOT analysis, is going to inform what are our goals and priorities going to be. That's going to be at the next full day retreat in February. So we're right in the thick of it right now. It's going really, really well. We have a great team, and that's evident from the SWOT analysis. So I encourage everyone to continue to keep up to date on that. And of course, I'll continue to email the board with the updates that they get sent out. My next update I want to bring is a thank you to GSF, all of our GSF employees, and FH Passion. As all of you here on the board know, but as some people on the audience may not know, we had a little Christmas gift on December 26th, and that was the water main pipe coming into Evergreen. That was just recently installed to replace the previous one. The flange failed. It was a flange that was installed at the manufacturer, so it was a prefabricated, it was an on-site fabrication, and that failed, and water poured into Evergreen from the sprinkler room. Fortunately, we had GSF staff in the building at the time. They were able to see the water coming in. They notified authorities. The water had to be shut off at the street. The fire department did shut off the water. They contacted us immediately. We came over there. What I didn't know is that GSF has a whole emergency response team. So we had everyone from the area that was available coming to Evergreen to mitigate the water, sucking up the water with machines, squeezing water out, squeezing water into drainage pipes. And it was like all hands on deck. And, I arrived probably maybe 25 minutes after I got the phone call, which was right after they shut it off, and the team was arriving right then. So they were there right at the beginning. And there was a couple leaders of that whole team, and Magna was one of them. And I sent a letter to GSF highlighting her leadership, because she just took charge, and I don't know where she came from, but she brought her whole family with. And she was like, this is what we do. And they were in it for us. And it was just really great. Subsequently from that, FH Passion gave us a dedicated superintendent, Brendan Mackey, who was on site the entire time and made sure that the project was going to be done to completion. And we had GSF, all of our GSF people working that whole time. They worked weekends, they worked overtime. We did thank them quite a bit with donuts and food and special recognition. But if you see any GFS employees, please give your thanks to them, because it was all hands on deck and they all showed up when needed. And my whole thing is, it's like a work hard player. You don't have to work hard all the time, but when we need you, we really need you. We want to know that we can rely on you, and they showed up in force. And it was just really great to see that we have partners in both GSF and Passion. We also took a tour of the place and the pipe right at their finance committee. So I don't know, Vince or Dennis, do you have any comments on the state of Evergreen or how, you know, how it looks or?
It was amazing.
You couldn't even tell.
Yeah, like you had mentioned, you couldn't even tell anything. It was great to be able to see as far as it could have gone and the quick response and how much damage it did save.
Very good, thank you.
We didn't see any canoes or rafts floating around.
One stray shoe. One stray shoe was a mechanical.
Good point. We did do, air quality testing. It all came clear. We're gonna continue to do air quality testing. We have air purifiers in the rooms as well, just out of precaution, not because they were needed. But we'll continue to monitor that as we go through and we process the insurance claims. And I anticipate, we're gonna be advocating for as many of the floors to get replaced as possible through the insurance. I definitely know the carpeted areas will be replaced. We're gonna try to advocate for everything. Cause you don't know what's going on underneath there, but more to come on that. I also want to take a minute to congratulate the Benjamin Band and Choir program, and the Evergreen Music Program. It seems like a long time ago, but it was not, it was, you know, just one board meeting ago. It was December and they had amazing performances. So I want to call them up by name, Miss Martin, Mr. Lewis, Mrs. Teppy, Mrs. Orr, Miss Jada, Mrs. Anthony, and Mrs. DeChristopher for their time, talent, and dedication to our performing arts program. They were spectacular. I've been to a lot of performing arts programs and this was like the top tier. They had extra songs and everyone, they were on point and I felt like I was getting my money's worth when I was there. It was just really enjoyable. So I really want to thank them. It takes, from a teacher end, from instructional coach, it takes a lot of extra time and passion and dedication to make those things and bring them to life. So I just want to acknowledge them and celebrate the good work that they're doing. You all received a quick update on the SASB Board of Directors meeting and my weekly update, but the agenda is here as well. Just usual business in December, but they are still working on facility recommendations in the spring, and John Lang is taking the lead on that, so I'm looking forward to hear those recommendations. We also have some upcoming GPS Parent Series events that I want to highlight. We have one on guiding teams to develop independence and coping skills to navigate their own journey. That's tomorrow at noon and 7 p.m. There's another Empowered Athletes Fostering Confidence for Peak Performance. That's January 21st, again, noon and 7 p.m. Those will be via Zoom. We have Checked Out, Stressed Out, Moving Kids from Disengagement to Drive. That's on January 27th, noon and 7 again. And then Super Thinkers, Raising Tomorrow's Leaders Today, and that's on Wednesday, February 4th. Noon and 7 p.m. again. And I just want to take a moment to remind everyone to take advantage of these opportunities. They're free. We partner with GPS, so it's part of our organization as well. So to take advantage of those when you can. We did have 2 FOIA requests, both from Smart Procure for contract related information and for purchasing records. And that concludes my superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. And I believe we had a finance committee meeting, so.
We did. Finance committee, we met last Thursday. At Evergreen, during the meeting, Dr. Filos presented us with a mid-year budget performance to provide a status check of the district's financial position at the midpoint of the fiscal year. He discussed his projections that were based on current revenue collections, expenditure trends, and our known operational factors. Overall, the district remains financially stable, with revenues and expenditures generally tracking in line with our adopted budget. Based on current projections, the district expects to conclude the fiscal year within the approved budget and maintain appropriate fund balances levels in accordance with our fund balance policy and the long-term financial planning goals.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for attending that. And Don, we have a PTA update.
PTA, well, it's kind of back to normal after such a busy December. And what Dr. McGill mentioned about the 2 choirs, that was bizarre. So I think that they've done that for years. It gets better every year. Yeah, believe me, you know, so you saw them at their best and it'll just get better. So yeah, thank you for the Evergreen Choirs is a new club this year, one of the new clubs this year. I think it's very well received. And my granddaughter's in it, loves it. So the bizarre problem. I think the next PTA open meeting is Monday, the end of the month. What's the last Monday of this month? In the boardroom. So you're all invited. Everyone in the audience and who's ever watching this online, come to the general PTA meeting. We only have it once every couple of months, but there you can learn more about the programs that you get involved with and volunteer and bring your ideas too. 26th, okay, January 26th, 7 p.m. Well, and they will discuss the bazaar, I'm sure, recap and then what we'll do for next year. Chef's Night Out, we didn't do one this month. I think it's going to be revamped, rebooted, something like that, renamed. So look forward to something coming up next month. What are the other two activities? There's a roller skating outing. It's on Saturday the 24th, and there's a hockey night. Over what is it in Aurora? Off of Kirby Road.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
The Geneva,
Yeah, Geneva, yeah. It's on 31st or so.
No, Fox Valley, like.
So it's meant to be so families and parents can, from the district and get together. Maybe you don't normally go out with one another, but have an event where you all can enjoy the evening. And ice cream last week and then ice cream next week on the 21st and 22nd.
Did you buy a special ice cream again?
I did. The most popular one now, it's not so much rainbow, it's the mint fudge. Which is in the front, yeah, Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Avers. That's true.
too, that was delicious.
That was a seasonal thing. I do have, there's basically all from third and fourth graders who have asked for it, something different, and they appreciate it, so happy to do it.
Don, speaking of
Yes, sir.
January 26th, do you know what happened on January 26th of 1986?
I think that some change.
It's no.
Super Bowl shuffle. Super Bowl shuffle.
Super Bowl.
I know, that's when it was in June. They extended the weeks now, it's 17 games.
That's right. If you need a PTA, you forget. You need a PTA dine out, you gotta get a Bears tailgate organized for the Sunday. Yes, scrambled.
Don't jinx them, right?
Well, thank you for the update and yeah, that was my first time attending the bazaar. I couldn't believe how many staff were there on Saturday and how well organized everything was.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
It was
for setting that up, I think.
just absolutely fantastic.
I noticed, yeah, it's tremendous community support, right?
All right, so now we're on to public comments. Have we have any public comment on the agenda items? Having none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone member wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? No. Okay, so hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? So moved. Second. Roll call, please.
Member Angstrom,
Aye.
member Drinnen,
Aye.
member Sender,
Aye.
member Miss Peterson,
Aye.
member Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
member Valencia.
Aye.
Member Rod.
Aye. Okay, we're moving on to action items. This is gonna be a long one here, so just bear with me. This is the second reading and subsequent adoption of Press Plus issue 120. And I've got to read all of these. So may I have a motion to approve the second reading and subsequent adoption of Press Plus issue 120 recommendations as presented. It includes the following policies: 150, 270, 210, 430, 490, 140. You were looking at me, am I saying something wrong? That's it, the whole.
No,
I'm taking out the folder so I can keep going. 510, 590, 5100, 5190, 5200, 5220, 5280, 5300, 620, 640, 660, 6130, 6160, 6260, 6280, 710, 770, 7150, 7180, 7190, 7290, 7310, 7340, and 830.
Good job.
Are there any discussion?
Do you read them all out?
I didn't read that, I didn't read like the title of launch, let's go back and get all those. May I have a roll call, please?
So moved.
Motion, thank you.
Second.
Now, roll call, please.
Member Sittenbeck,
Aye.
member Brennan,
Aye.
member Ingstrom,
Aye.
member Miss Peterson,
Aye.
member Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
member Vellante.
Aye.
And member
Aye. Last, we have the approval of resolution affirming and approved depositories of the school districts. May I have a motion to approve the resolution affirming approved depositories of the school district as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Ingstrom,
Aye.
member Sittenbeck,
Aye.
member Miss Peterson. Aye. Member Brennan.
Aye.
Member Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
member Vellante.
Aye.
Member Rogers.
Aye. Next, public comment on non-agenda items. Have we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, we will move on to discussion items. And as of now, there's not been any communication to the board or and the public, so we'll move on to executive session, which we will convene before. May I have a motion to enter an executive session for the purpose of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in educational setting. For exemption one is Illinois Open Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120/2.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Ingstrom,
Aye.
member Brennan,
Aye.
member Sittenbeck,
Aye.
member Miss Peterson. Aye. Member Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
member Vellante.
Aye.
Member Rogers.
We're gonna step out for a second if you guys
Question. Action after that.
right point, there will not be action. Once we reconvene open session.
Right.
Disappearing slowly though.
You guys have one job, which is finish all the cookies before we can. Great job.
January diet, so.
There you go.
So sweet to the mouth.
Okay, we have a motion to return to open session.
Second.
Roll call, please. Sorry. Was it, Gina Bridget?
No. It was.
Do we have a motion?
So it was Vince.
Vince Bridget.
Member Ingstrom?
Aye.
Member Druner?
Aye.
Member Sartback?
Aye.
Member Ms. Peterson?
Aye.
Member Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Member Volantis?
Aye.
Member Rogers?
May I have a motion to adjourn the Benjamin 25 Board of Education meeting to order, or, at 8:32?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Both subside. Boom. Yeah.
Yes, please.
What are these shirts for again? What?
Just to have.
They were just